On April 7, 2013, I received a call from a friend telling me that a fox and several babies had taken up residency close to his shop. He saw them often and thought I might want to take photographs. I immediately formed a filming plan, then went to the site. I thought I'd get a few good shots. What I got was so much more. After recording their active times above ground with a trail camera, I knew the best time to set myself in place without being noticed. I would also use this time to inspect and take shots of the den site, intricate holes and tunnels leading to a world below ground. I had gathered a lot of information, so it was time to don the camo and get some photos. With all we know about animal behavior, you cannot predict it. As with all nature, surprise is as prevalent as commonality. And just when I thought I did everything right,
I think I've been spotted.
Mother Fox guarded the den with a keen eye from a distance. I took those 2 photos and slowly walked away. I returned with a second trail cam and recorded the time she came and left her post. I couldn't risk getting caught a second time, as Mama would certainly move the family to one of several alternate dens hidden within this dense white pine paradise. I'm really hoping she doesn't move them this time. When I finally got in undetected, I proceeded to set up my cameras. A simple array and very low profile. A motion camera in the distance, an infrared camera to my left, a high-definition video camera to my right, and me in the middle shooting with 2 handheld cannons. I was hunkered down and had done my homework. If I did it right, I would be seeing activity very soon. Then, right on time, "15 feet from an active fox den, and in walks the renard, which is a male fox, and the vixen, the female fox. I remain motionless, and they circle me before stopping directly in front of me. They might smell me, but they haven't quite found me yet. Papa walks right up to me, and Mama begins acting odd. I can't even move the camera away from my eye. I feel Papa sniffing my shoulder. And then, five kits exit the den and begin nursing. I remain still as Papa is standing guard next to my right foot. He walks off after a minute and doesn't return while I'm there. Mama will also leave after the feeding. The kids will play. I spent the next 90 minutes motionless, quietly shooting hundreds of photographs. Mama returned and stood next to me, watching her young run around playing. The kits were also curious at times. I couldn't change my position, so when the sun beat down on the den mound, it got real bright. I took this shot and realized that there were actually 6 kits in the leash. An average litter. For the next 2 weeks, I continued to shoot photo after photo of this beautiful fox family. I switched to a one-piece camo and would just sit motionless on the outside of the mound area. They began to get used to my daily appearances. Before too long, they realized I wasn't a threat. I had recently started a red fox trapping job in Watermill. I was attempting to trap a mother and 4 kits that were living under a pool deck. What made this spot appealing for the fox family was a farm, just a stone's throw away, with live chickens. The homeowner that hired me had also been away for several months, so I set up my system, and the next day I trapped 2 little youngsters. Okay, here we are, day 2, back at the trapping site. We have a couple interesting... This is actually a perfect sign of red fox behavior. I've sealed all holes except the one with the trap. The renard brings food to the vixen, leaving it just outside the hole. This is telling me there's a mama and baby still under the deck. Which I actually heard clucking and crowing yesterday over in the neighbor's yard. Ironically, I don't hear it today. But here we have a little guy. There's number 3. Numbers 1 and 2 are standing by, waiting for the others. I'm going to need a safe area to relocate the leash that doesn't trespass on another fox's turf. The homeowner met with me on day 3. He regretted to tell me that early that morning the chickens were very loud and riled up. He then heard 3 gunshot blasts, and shortly after, the chickens calmed down. I now had to rethink the entire plan. I didn't know who fell victim, but I had nothing in my trap. I had come so close. It was a sad day. And if that wasn't enough, I went back to check the den in East Hampton, and everyone was gone from that location. There were clear signs that a dog had come through, marked a few spots, and collapsed one of the 5 holes at the site. Foxes rarely have just one den, and for this very reason, it's not uncommon that a leash might have 5 or 6 dens. This den had been abandoned. It was over. The fourth kit fox is alive and in my trap. Unfortunately, the homeowner who hired me found out that in fact the mother fox was shot while invading the farmer's chicken coop. I'm not sure what happened to the Renard, but he just seemed to disappear. Now, what to do with the kits? I went back to the Hampton den and it was still empty. I started walking around in the shade of the tall pines. It was dark, even in the middle of the day. I looked down a long cutout path and saw a ray of sunlight shining down on a pile of falling limbs, just shining right through the tops of the trees and hitting the ground like a spotlight. It was beautiful. As my eyes began to focus on that spotlight, I thought I saw something move. Then I saw it move again. I quietly rushed to the spot and was overjoyed to see it was an alternate den. It had 2 freshly used holes and the ground was littered with fresh rabbit meat and a deer leg. This gave me an idea, so I did some quick research. Then I called the good folks at the Evelyn Alexander Wildlife Rescue and Rehab Center and ran my plan by one of the staff members. I gathered up the 4 kits that I trapped and headed back to the Hampton Den site. The plan was to release the watermill kits and introduce them to the East Hampton kits. The theory being the average litter of a red fox vixen is 6 to 10. But most of all, I was relying on the fact that animals can't count. Okay, Mommy's seen me. The babies have seen me. So, the whole stealth aspect is ruined. But, let me see if I can get this to work. As long as she doesn't see me release the baby, I should be okay. All right, little guy. Let's do this, okay? You be good. Okay. You saw it, gang. She's in the hole. All 4 kits were successfully released at the Hampton Den site. 3 of the babies ran into the den upon release. 1 kit missed the hole and ran off into the woods. I hoped it would find its way back to its siblings, but that's all I could do was hope. The other 3 did enter the den, and that was good. The main concern now was hoping the vixen wouldn't notice the additions and would accept them either way. The watermill kits were probably a week or 2 younger, but all very healthy. It was now a waiting game with fingers crossed. I returned to the den every day for the next 4 days. The 3 kits were staying together. The 4th never returned. The original family moved once again, but Mama didn't include the new kits. They were on their own. Not the scenario I was hoping for. Day 5 and 6 passed with no change. The kits seemed healthy enough, but they didn't know how to hunt for food. I supplemented their diet with fresh chicken parts, but that wasn't helping the overall issue. I was just buying more time in hopes that the vixen would return and find these little orphans. But in reality, my expectations weren't so optimistic. At the very worst, I figured I could retrap and raise them. Abandoning them was not an option. I set up the infrared camera for one more night. The next morning, I rushed to the site early to retrieve the camera. I wasn't expecting any miracles, as I felt we were all lucky to have come this far. My anticipation was due to the fact that I was going to make my decision based on the prior evening's results. I pretty much knew what I would see. 3 young kit foxes, wondering where their brother or sister is, and their mother for that matter. I still had more work ahead of me. I had to safely trap all 3 of them once again, and then come up with a new plan. When I rolled the footage, I couldn't believe what I saw. I was hoping for the vixen, but this was just as good. The 4th kit fox that I had trapped had returned. So each night after, I'd leave a little food for the kits and bury bigger pieces around the outer den site to possibly lure in the vixen. 3 days passed. The food I'd been hiding is dug up each morning. Paw prints look bigger than a kit fox. I keep my fingers crossed. I decide to sit a while, watching, listening. I'm in a natural depression about 25 feet from the den entrance. Hidden, just waiting. My head barely above ground so I can just film at ground level on a fixed tripod. Any movement could spook the foxes, and I don't want them leaving this site as well. All of a sudden, Mama and 3 kits come strolling through the area. You can't see in this shot, but 2 of them are behind me, tossing a mole or a mouse up and around. Then, something spectacular happens. With the 3 kits and Mama now behind me, you're looking at the remaining 7. That makes the full 10. They are now a complete fox family. The 4 kits that I trapped and introduced have been accepted to the family. It's a very, very happy day. I packed up, I pulled the trail cams and left the site for good. I couldn't be happier with the results and the awesome education the red foxes have given me.